I'm having a hard time conceptualizing the fact that it's almost Memorial Day weekend. Um, that seems a little off. Anyways, first and foremost, before I get into anything, I do want to mention tomorrow I'm very excited. I'm going to have a very special guest, Scott Martin, Chief Investment Officer for Kingsview Financial, is going to be joining us. He is an amazingly smart money guy. I asked him to come on and just talk to us a little bit about money, investments, those types of things. I know it's a hot topic, so I figured getting some more guidance on that would be helpful. So please tune in tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be invaluable. What I wanted to talk about tonight, though, a study was recently done with some interesting data, and I wanted to share some of that. As I've said from the start of this, the number one thing that I really worry could derail our housing market in this comes back to foreclosures. Foreclosures are always the wild card in what we look at, because if that starts to tailspin, that can impact our market. Now, I've spent weeks talking about why we don't foresee foreclosures tailspinning here and becoming a major issue, from the amount of equity that we have in homes, from the growth that we saw up to this point in time. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but we have to be honest and remember that Chicago is notorious for leading the way in foreclosures on the national level. So it is something that we're very, very aware of. DePaul University, they have an Institute of Housing that did a study. It's been about a two-part study. Originally, they studied kind of some habits of renters. They just released a study on homeowners. And what they were doing was they were using census tracking and figuring out how many homeowners they could demise through census tracking would have one of the paying parties of a mortgage, or a paying party of the mortgage, who would have most likely lost their job recently. So that one of the contributing members of a family no longer has income coming in. That number, after assessing all of the city and the suburbs, came in around 16%. 16% of homeowners, most likely based off of their study, lost one stream of income into their house. Now, obviously, that can be scary. That doesn't necessarily mean that is going to move right into a foreclosure. As we've talked about before, people are at a point where they've got more equity in their homes than ever. So that may cause somebody to assess selling a home, but that doesn't mean that they're going to give up on their equity and give up on their homes from that perspective. But it tells us that there are about 16% of people that are maybe more at risk, so to say. Now, it was interesting because they divided it out by area. And I thought one of the most interesting facts were, for homeowners, the area from all of the city and all of the suburbs around us that had the least percentage and least numbers of this at-risk group were actually in the city and all of the neighborhoods within the city. The areas that were most at risk was the south and southwest suburbs. That's where they saw the greatest concentration, but the city actually was looking quite good in terms of that. So that obviously gives us just a little bit more strength and thought process. Now, once again, just because somebody's maybe more at risk because they lost a job, that doesn't mean that foreclosure is the route that they're going to go. We've also talked a lot about on here on all the options that homeowners have, especially those that are in need now, from some sort of modification and deferment on their loan to other government assisted programs. But I did think it was an interesting study. I love the fact that the city was faring so well, and that the risk within the city was actually the lowest in the area. But once again, it is something that I think just kind of adds to the fact that it's a smaller group in the grand scope of things. And despite the fact that in Chicago we're typically a leader in that group, we're doing okay with it. So I just thought that was helpful. Once again, I would encourage you to tune in tomorrow. Scott Martin is a brilliant guy, and I'm sure he's going to have some really valuable stuff to share with us. On that note, be kind. Be kind to one another, and be kind to yourself. Take care of one another. Take care of yourself. Remember to be ever so smart in your social distancing. Remember to be grateful of the people out there that are working especially as things loosen up. I know that we're all a little short-tempered these days. It's hard on us all, and let's just remember that it takes a little bit of extra effort to be kind. I am ever so grateful for you guys. I'm so honored to be a part of your journey, and I'm so grateful to have you as part of mine. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. We're going to kick off Memorial Day weekend with a great guest. Be well, and I'll see you tomorrow.